Here we go. There's always a bit of a lag. I'll probably say this at the beginning of every live stream. Okay, so the purpose of today's session is to have a look at the process behind finding trading opportunities. And the logic is to have a look at when the US session kicks off, which is in about 13 minutes time. I haven't done this before streaming, so I'm not sure what time I want it to start, and I'm also not sure how long it's going to go for. I don't really want to spend too long on it, so it's going to be somewhere between 30 and 45 minutes. And so the idea here, remember, is to do a bit of pre-analysis before the New York session kicks off, and then potentially look for setups. Or shortlist setups and then get ready to get in on them. And the purpose here predominantly is going to be looking for setups in currencies. So also got a sense of what news might be out today. So, we might have some stuff happening later today, but no, nothing right now. So that all looks good. So good idea to have a look at the news and then take it from there. Hi, Michael. Hello. Okay. So hi, Dan. Hello. Okay, cool. So the idea is to do that. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change my layout to a 4-window layout. Excuse me, and a 4-window layout. My focus, as I said, is predominantly on currencies. Maybe gold. We'll have a look at that. And again, I would even prefer currencies with tighter spreads. So the next thing I'm going to do is I've got my 1 hour, my 4 hour, my 15-minute, my daily. So my main concern is really going to be looking at the 4 hourly. What is the trend on the 4 hourly? And then is there a potential opportunity that's going to set up when the US session kicks off in the next candle, in the next 4-hour candle, in the direction of that candle. So if we look at the 15-minute, for example, now it's looking nice and bearish. It's pulling back into the daily pivot. There could possibly be a sell setup. I'm literally just doing a very quick scan here. Could be a potential setup here. But the 1 hour looks more bullish than bearish. So that's tricky. You've kind of got weakness over here. So there's a lot going on. It's not really ideal. It's not crystal clear what the direction is. And this is where we can get caught. If we look on the 15 minutes and we think, okay, it's a downtrend, I'll look for a shorting opportunity. If it finds resistance here, that's fine. But the probabilities are not as good as they would be if we had a strong downtrend on other time frames as well. Cool. So let's have a look at sterling. So really, again, my focus is on that 4 hours. We've had a bit of a break below this, which this is what's known as a momentum candle. So could there possibly be another continuation lower? So yes, there's a possibility again. Possibility that we get a bit of a bearish setup in this area. It's an idea. It is based on the following. We've got general weakness. We're at a level of resistance. We've had multiple rejections. We've had price break below the low here. We've had a consolidation and a break below that. So we could see a move further. Now, I'll say that again because it might not have necessarily pinged with everyone. Excuse me. Let's try that again. Okay. So, looking at the 4 hour, we have an uptrend. We've hit resistance. We've created a swing high. When we look at the 1 hour, we've got a slight consolidation with these 3 candles here, with staying above a little bit of a support level. We then have a bearish momentum candle that's broken free of that. So the question becomes now, are we going to see price continue down lower? It could potentially reject this level, could do it. And this is why we'd be looking at the 15 minutes or 5 minutes, because we're only looking for a single trade. So let me repeat that. We're only looking for a single trade. We're looking for price to move from here, ideally 3 to 1. That's it. That means the price could come up here, come back down, bounce off this level here, and then carry on back up. But we might still be able to make a 3 to 1. So it's making the case for taking the trade. So excuse me, and we could see, so we've got that, and we've got 10 minutes to go. Let's have a look at Aussie dollar. So Aussie dollar is a little bit different. It's trending up, looks a little bit more bullish. We have broken the low, so we've also got a swing high here. So we could also see these start to trend a little bit lower. I'm not as concerned with the daily. The daily gives me a broad overview. We've produced a swing low here. We are overextended to the downside. So the potential momentum is to the upside. We've got a consolidation in this area. Let's put it there. And therefore, a break to the upside could see it move a little bit higher. But at the same time, until it breaks that consolidation, it could move lower. So hopefully that makes sense to you. Do I look at the weekly? No, not the weekly. So really predominantly at the 4-hourly, getting a sense of, because this is the thing, we're really only going to be looking, we've only got 2 or 3 4-hour candles for today. So that's why the 4-hour, just what are the next 2-3 candles going to do is really the core concept. Do I think that EuroCAD will continue to rise and go up off the weekly chart? Okay, I'll have a look at that. Okay, we've got no clear trend over here. We've got a bit of a range. This is also in a bit of a downtrend on the 1 hour. Could potentially start to fail and go lower. So it's quite interesting. We're seeing a lot of these that look like they could go lower. Same with dollar Swissy. Battling in this area. Lots of potential weakness, could go lower. Dollar CAD. Dollar CAD I quite like because it's breaking through support. It's generally in a downtrend on the 1 hour. It's sort of range bound on the 4 hour over here, and therefore could work its way down to the bottom. So the goal of this would be to look at a potential trade idea that would get us 3-to-1. Oopsie, what's going on here, man? That would get us a 3-to-1 setup on that 15-minute down to here. So hopefully that makes sense. So part of the reason you day trade on the 15-minute, 5 minutes, and 1 minute is to get your 3-to-1 within about 45 pips. If you can get it less than that, that's great. But that reduces your risk. Conceptually, if you don't need the market to move very far to get your 3-to-1, and the probabilities are high, then it reduces your risk. So let's have a quick look at EuroCAD because you're asking me about that. We're still in this area. Usman, my answer is still the same. I mean, it's definitely rejecting this area. It's battling to get through that. The momentum is sort of to the upside, but it's battling in this area, I'm afraid. So this is going to be a consolidation breakout either way. All right. Let's go back. So we've got Euro GBP. Not really a great chart to trade, generally speaking. You can see the liquidity is not as good here. But it is in a bit of a downtrend. And again, let's look at these 4-hour candles. So let's just have a look at dollar CAD. So here, this momentum is more bearish to me. I quite like the look of this. You've had a really nice breakthrough level here on that. And actually, if you go to the 1 minute, so let's change this and go to the 1 minute. You can see here the price has broken through, come back up, tested rejection, and is actually on its way. So you would have, you're talking about shorting it here. So it'd be something like that. Okay, so you're looking for something like that. 3-to-1, which in this case is about 10, 12 pips. Ideally, you want very tight spreads. You want your spreads to be 1 or less if possible, because you don't want that to be a massive factor with regards to your stop loss and slippage and so on. A little bit of slippage, a little bit of wider stop loss and a bit of spread, and suddenly your stop loss is a bit of an issue. So the idea here was dollar CAD was a break through this level. That 4-hour is trending down. It's within a range. Looks as though it's got that potential to go to the bottom of the range. We've got a breakthrough, a level, crisp level. That was actually a daily level that I just put on. You can see it says daily here. But that looks relatively crisp. And then it appears as though on a much lower time frame, the price action has come back up and is attempting to continue down. Just get rid of this ranging thing because it's getting in my way. Okay, so let's have a look at something else. Let's go look at Euro Yen. Excuse me. So 4-hour is a bit overextended to the downside, broken down. We're in the next 4-hour candle. My clock here is a bit different, but the next 4-hour candle is potentially at 2 o'clock. So it depends where your NT4 server is and a few other things. But principally, the idea here is that when the US session kicks off, I'm going to be looking for an opportunity. Okay, so price is coming back up, and again, it's going to run into a pivot, support resistance level. It's going to run into a whole lot of stuff. And you can see the 1 minute here starting to stall a bit. So there could, again, be some opportunities to head low. It's quite interesting that most of them want to go down. So 4-hour, again, big move has happened. Ideally, what I'd be looking for, ladies and gents, is the next candle somewhere here to be doing something like this. So the next candle would be overlapping a little bit. Overlapping a little bit and then wanting to continue down. Okay. There we go. And so I'd be looking possibly in the next candle for price to come back up, which means the price could come back up to here, find resistance, and then continue down. Okay. So that's the logic here. The 4 hour, oh, good Lord, good Lord. My settings have changed. It used to just go straight back to, once I've used the tool once, it would just snap out of it. Now it seems to keep using the tool. So the logic here is we have a downtrend. We've got candles broken down. Could be potentially overextended. I'm looking for the next candle to continue that momentum, at least down towards here. That's on the 4 hour. If I go look at the 1 hour, you can see it's a bit overextended. I'm looking for price to come back up into an area here, which is possible market structure, find some resistance, and potentially turn around and go down. You can see it's battling actually where it is right now. So it could actually continue down from where it is right now. But we're still within this candle, so I'd still prefer for the next candle. Excuse me. So there's another way of looking at it as well. Is this candle's already broken out of here. The momentum is already to the downside. So basically we're looking for any signs of failure or exhaustion in price action that it can then head lower. Possible setup. So ideally something like this, which is not that bad. And then in this particular case, you'd also be looking for a nice little bearish setup, stop loss above the high, targeting 3 to 1. And again, that's like 24 pips. So it's not so bad. If it continues down, I'm looking for I'd really like to see a bearish candle, a nice rejection, if it's going to go straight from where it is now. If it's going to come up, then potentially it's going to come back up to here. Is it possible that I see that it attempts to break lower here and I take the trade and then it's a losing trade and then it comes back up here and goes down? Yes, it is. So this is the risk with trading, which is why we don't, we keep our risk under control. So what I'm really looking for here, ladies and gentlemen, in this area is a sign of bearish candle closing to the low, ideally closing down below here. So, and then looking for that to continue down. Let's go back up and have a look at these. We've got 2 minutes. We're still looking for price to potentially come back up here, head down. Euro dollar forming a bit of a bearish candle there as well. Could be a potential type of setup. Let's have a look. So today we're just going to do theory. So, and if this goes well, then I'll look at actually placing orders in future stuff. Today we'll just do the theory, the explanation. So this one's got about 34 seconds. So one potential. I'd prefer to see multiple wicks, because you could get one single bearish setup and then the next one continues up. But the logic would be getting a nice bearish candle, and again you'd be targeting. So let me just explain the logic again. You've got a 4 hour bearish break to the downside. It's broken below this low, and there's still some potential momentum to come back down towards this level here. As a possibility, price is retracing and we're looking for the first signs of exhaustion. That's why our momentum is more to the downside. Okay, so the logic is, first of all, we pick the direction and then we look for signs of exhaustion, which would be following through. So here's a good example of that, where I said I prefer to see multiple rejections, because here you could get a little bit of a bearish rejection and then it just keeps going. But ideally, you'd also only get in on the break below the low of this candle. Excuse me. Sorry. Sterling, let's have a look at the others. Aussie dollar, nothing here, nothing here. Dollar yen, as I said, dollar yen was looking a little bit more bearish here. That looks quite nice. And you've got a bit of a double top here on that 1 minute. And you've got a move down, a potential continuation down. And remember, the US session should be kicking off now. We should be triggering a bit of that. So we might start to see the markets move. And again, your logic here is you would be doing this for about 2 more hours. And the thing as well is that as you start to head towards 3 o'clock, most of the moves tend to have occurred. So if you, unless there's a really strong setup that you've just been waiting for, it's usually done. Your trades will be open and you'll be on your way. So remember this one here, we had that pullback, all the wick exhaustions here. There's the momentum candle to the downside. So just recap here. We had this in a range, prices heading down towards the bottom of the range. We had a consolidation here and a break below that. We had price come back up here and continue down. We moved to the 1 minute, and the 1 minute had pulled up, produced all this exhaustion here, and I placed in theory the entry below that. This is a bearish breakout candle to the downside. This is what I'd like to see on the other charts. Stop loss above the high here. You could also put it a little bit above that if you think that that support resistance level is going to give you some extra technical protection, and then you wait. Now it's a probabilities game. So as market going to head down, we're really looking for about 11 pips. So in this case, I think I more likely would have put my stop loss. Whoops. Why won't you let me move my stop loss? There it is. Just above that level, preferably. It adds a few more pips, but it has that extra little bit of protection there. And then we see what happens. All right, let's go move on. Euro GBP. Oh, this one as well. So this one, again, look at this exhaustion coming in. Pretty cool. That's very nice. Overall, again, a little bit extended to the downside here. We are sort of more bearish than bullish on the 4 hour. So if this is a bearish candle, there is a fair possibility the next candle is going to follow through and be bearish, in case I didn't say that. So that's kind of the idea here. So then we're looking for price to retrace because it's a bit overextended. We look for it to come back in, start to show signs of exhaustion, then look for it to turn around and hit lower, and then look for a 3-to-1 entry. Usman, with regards to Bitcoin and that, it's still bearish for now until we see a turnaround in the rest of the markets, as far as I'm concerned. Oh dear. Okay. We've got, let's have a look. Euro Swissy. There we go. So this is where there was a bit of exhaustion. We've had that break, and now we've got that swing low. So this means that it's more likely to come back up to here. So to just illustrate how day trading works and the comfort level with it is, if the logic is that it's going to work its way up here, could you potentially take a trade from there to there if you could get a 3-to-1 on a very low time frame? It's possible. Potentially you could get a 3-to-1 on the way up. Do I ever think the Bitcoin will go all the way down to 10,000 at all? I don't know. I honestly don't know. A year ago I would have said no, I doubt it. There's a lot going on with currencies at the moment. It's the BRICS countries are trying to do their thing. And I think what's going to happen is it's not going to impact the dollar. I think it's just going to create more choice. And I think banks are going to want to do digital currencies, and people getting paid in cryptos is still there as a service. But possibly what's going to happen is the shine, the excitement, the newness of it is going to fade a bit. And therefore, it's going to just not grow as fast. That's a possibility. There's very heavily bearish. Okay, that's a very, very bearish candle. It's a bit too much of a move. So the issue I have with this is a big move like that compared to previous candles means that the majority of the move has already happened. Okay. You could potentially trade it, but I have to state that it's now overextended, and therefore if it suddenly comes back, we can't complain. Quickly have a look at other CAD pairs. Is it other CAD pairs moving? Okay, so your dollar CAD's moving. What about pound CAD? Pound CAD's also moving, so we can see it's the CAD pairs. What about Aussie CAD? Not so much. Kiwi CAD, not so much. CAD Yen, CAD Swissy. Okay, so it looks as though the CAD pairs are moving. Look at CAD Swissy heading off. So the only decision with pairs like this is the spread. If the spread is greater than, if it's greater than 1.5, I think it's really problematic. You really, for what you want, where you're targeting small distances, you want very tight spread. You want it so you want to exclude the pairs that do it. So you'll be focusing on pairs that have, generally speaking, have very tight spreads. So let's just run through a few of these. So EuroCAD is moving, and when it's moving fast like this, you're more likely to look at something on that 1 minute time frame. So the only reason that you go from a 15 minutes is because either the market is moving really quickly, or to give you a bit more detail on what's happening on the lower time frames. Okay, ideally 15 minutes or 5 minutes should be suitable. 1 minute is that kind of thing. Okay, so let's just go back up. How are we doing so far? Okay, so that could be a potential setup. It looks like it's starting to fail there a little bit. Could be. That's how Euro doing. That also looks like it's potentially starting to fail in that area. So again, the original concept was to kind of take it short if it's going to continue down. But you really want to see price action starting to fail at that level. It's great, pivot level. Could potentially do that and start to head a little bit lower. So there's a possibility. Sterling will be kind of similar. You can see it's already come up and started heading off. You can see the consolidation and a break and heading down. Okay. So I was hoping for it to come back up here. It has failed already. In other words, it's just come back into the previous market structure. And you can see that still continuing down, potentially here also. So quite interesting to see that one. Again, I still would have preferred for it to come back up here. Nothing here, not stalling yet. And also that's very bullish. I'm like, to me, this is more bullish than bearish. I would feel like I'm going against the grain with Aussie dollar. Kiwi dollar stalling a little bit over here. It's consolidation here. I'd like to see a breakout to the downside. I'm not convinced on the Kiwi and Aussie pairs. Dollar yen. I mean, this is not a terrible place for it to turn around, but I really would like to see some failure here. Dollar Swissy, just boom. Okay, gone through. Okay, so dollar Swissy now looks, when you look at it now, this now looks very bullish. You've got a bullish engulfing candle. It's going to close in about an hour. This now looks to me more bullish than bearish. So is there a way that this could be traded? Yes. What's going to happen with, excuse me, the next candle? We could be looking for price, possibly. Price to come back down here, work its way up. So here we'd be looking for a bit of a potential pullback. I prefer actually for this to close bullish so that you know that it's committed to that move to the upside. Because it could still fail and then it just carries on down. So I prefer to leave that. So in this particular case, I would wait until the 4-hour candle has closed. Dollar CAD, that's just a solid break, just going for it. Okay. So let me recap on the logic behind this trade again, because you have to kind of restate the idea here. So first of all, the 4-hour is stuck within a range. It appears as though these candles, the 4-hour candles, are trending lower towards the bottom of the range. That's not a crazy idea. It's a reasonable assumption. The interesting part came when we looked at the 1 hour. We saw this crisp level of support resistance. We see the candle that broke through and closed. That's a breakout candle. And then when we looked at the 15 minutes, we could see that it was continuing down. And all you see is this little candle here shows that in the lower time frames between this candle and this candle, price came back up to test this area as resistance and continue down. And when you look at the 1 minute, you can see the price broke through. So we're dealing with this candle here. On the 1 minute, price broke through, then it starts to come back up, which now we're in this candle here. Price goes up, stalls, and starts to head down. And when we look at it a little bit more closely, we also get a momentum candle here. So we've got a whole lot of failures, and then a momentum break to the downside, which is actually your signal to kind of, that's it, to get in. Because now it's decided where to go. Enter, so actually your entry would be, more realistically, your entry would be somewhere around here, and I would put my stop loss above that. So it's not ideal because I've actually widened it a bit, and it's now moved to about 18 pips. But still, and the goal now is ideally for it to maintain this momentum and preferably get to its target, 13497. So that level, that big level, this level, the bottom level over here is about down here. If I end up getting 2% up, if I'm risking 1% and I'm 2 to 1, I can close partial profits. Then excuse me, if I want to, I can move my stop loss to my entry. So I've banked half the profits, and then I can move my stop loss to my entry. But I quite like that one. So then we've got Euro GBP, which is just sitting at a level. That's my only concern with this one. Euro yen is stalling here. That's all a good sign. Again, if I could see a bearish candle break to the downside, that would be kind of a bit of a clue. So that is something to watch for. Euro Swissy is broken to the upside. So looking for that to, what are we doing here? Oh no, over here, sorry, it's overextended, looking for it to come back into this area and then potentially fail and continue down. Because the 4 hour is in a downtrend, little bit of a level of support here. We've broken through that. There. So we've broken through that. And price potentially now looking to come back, retest this. So in this area, so now this is where the 1 minute becomes quite interesting. Your 1 hour is coming back up. And ideally, I'd like to see some failure on the 1 hour rather than anything else, but watching it on the 15 minutes, you can sort of see what it's doing. So then I'd be looking for failing candles in this area over here, looking for that to turn around and head lower. But I don't think it's ready just yet. EuroCAD continues down, so it's missed. There's nothing here as far as I'm concerned. It's a missed opportunity. Euro Aussie is also moving. So we have, very interesting, when you look at the 4 hour, we've had this consolidation, very tight consolidation here, and a break. And then it's continuing down. So it didn't even pull back here. It literally just went down towards the lows, back up, and started heading down. So there was nothing that I think was really obvious in this. Just that breakout there, and I think a break below that level could be considered significant. And all it did was a very little pullback and it went on. So it might have been a setup like that stood out, but not super obvious. EuroQ is still doing the same thing. It's heading lower. Let's look at pound yen. Again, starting to stall here. Look at this break below this level. Nice break there. Potential continuation down here. It's, I want to say range bound, not really, but it looks a little bit 4 hours bearish, so the momentum is probably more to the downside, but there's a little bit of market structure here. So I have some concerns, but this looks to me more bearish. So let me recap. We've broken out of the 4 hour, we're heading down. Could the next 4 hour candle continue down? That's possible. I think there's some potential market structure here that I'd be concerned about. We could see the consolidation here and the breakout, which means the move is now starting. And then we're looking for an entry. When we look at it here, we could see that actually it battled here, broke out, came back up, and in this area found some resistance. Here is right now is a bit of a momentum candle. It's got about a minute to go. So therefore, if this closes as a valid setup, if it closes as a bearish candle, there could be a possible setup like this, 3-1 to the downside. I don't always like it when all the markets are heading down, like all the pairs, no matter what they're doing. It's a bit odd. But yeah. And there's a different way you could, so granted you're waiting for this to close as a bearish candle so that you could then enter and 3-1 it. But you could also be looking here at the 1 minute, waiting for price to break through, retest, and continue down. So you get a tighter entry on the 1 minute. And again, you don't automatically do that. Those setups don't always automatically make them better on the lower time frame. You look on the lower time frame and then you see if you get a better setup. Okay, so I just want to see if that closes. Anything else? Again, these all just look more and more bearish. I mean, look at that. Look at the CAD pairs. They're just moving. So in a case like this, where it's breaking like this, you are much more wanting to get... This is what we call that push phase. The market's already on its way. So it's a bit overextended. I consider it more risky to look for a sell now, even on the 15 minutes. I would really prefer for it to come back up. And that could take a couple of hours. So this could be something that happens later in the afternoon. Or, sorry, it happens in about 2-3 hours. So maybe get a pullback. Otherwise, you've got to look for failure here. So you've got to look for price to come back up, start stalling. Wick rejections, exhaustion happening here. Look for that breakout candle and then look for that move down. Is this kind of making sense, guys? Just look at those. So the CAD pairs are moving. So in a situation like this, also there's Aussie and Kiwi pairs, I suppose, as well. I'd be looking for the ones with the tightest spreads. Best, similar setup, but tighter spreads. Let's run through these again. What's happening with euro dollar? Okay, so euro dollar is not stalling in this area yet. Okay, it's trying to do a bit of a swing low. Could want to come back into this market structure here. So no setup there. Sterling. So sterling came back up, produced that bearish candle, wick, double wick rejection. So the question then would be, do we sell now? Sell if we break below that stop loss above that high and target 3-1 to the downside. Again, it's another sell trade, which is not ideal, but that would be it. So you'd actually sell now if it breaks below the low of this candle. You've got a couple of wick rejections. You've got a bearish move to the downside. You've got a bearish move here. You've just broken the low here. So the momentum is shifted bearish. And then you've got the wick rejections here. And then it's potentially kicking off. So again, I want to wait for that to close nicely. Let me just move this back here so we can see what we're looking at. We're looking for potential setup there. Let's look at the Aussie pairs. Slowing down. We're going to get a bit of a head and shoulders pattern here. Kiwi battling in that area. Let's see. Dollar yen starting to stall a bit here. So again, let's talk through this. Candle goes up, stalls in this area at resistance, breaks to the downside. The next candle overlaps. So this pushes down, closes here. Next candle opens here, goes up, goes down to here, comes back and closes. This candle opens here, goes down, goes up, and is currently sitting here. But it could continue down. So this is where this level becomes significant, ladies and gentlemen, that level. Because if it goes back past that point, it's probably shifting back into closing as a red candle. So let me repeat that. We have a move up into a level of resistance. We see the resistance here, battles, breaks to the downside, moves down here, closes here. The next candle opens here, goes up, goes down to here, closes here. This candle currently opens here, goes down. So this is how we have this wick here, goes all the way up here to this wick and is currently here. If price action should start to go back below this point, this candle will go from green to red, signaling that it is possibly going to continue down. It could just bob up and down, but it doesn't always do that. They tend to test down, go up, and make their decision. But this is an area where it could then continue down. So that level becomes the level that I'd be watching now. You've got the stalling over here. So two different traders. One trader would wait for price to break below here and then look for an entry continuing down. Another trader would potentially trust that this exhaustion is happening. You're going to get your bearish momentum candle. You're getting a double wick thing over here. So you've got a downtrend, it's stalling, and it's going to break and keep going. And it's interesting because they're all part of the same market move. If this rejects, closes, starts going down, this will become a red candle and this trader will get in here. So it'll potentially pick up momentum. So you have to understand that you have different traders looking for different things in the same place. And then sometimes that's how moves pick up momentum. Okay, so here I'd be looking for a bearish candle or breakout candle. So that's dollar yen. Let's have a look at the rest. Dollar Swissy continues to break high. Again, I want that to close in 40 minutes. That's not going to happen in this session. Dollar CAD. There we go. So dollar CAD now possibly going to come back up and test this and get that. So here we are. We've got price coming back up to our entry. Is it going to come back and break, hit my stop loss or not? We'll see. But this now looks as though it's coming back up to test this and then continue down. So one of two things will happen if I'm right about that. It'll potentially not hit my stop loss and reverse and carry on down. Or to hit my stop loss and reverse and carry on down, at which point I can take the trade again. So I'm talking you guys through the trades. I'm also laying out what a story, what do they call it? Narrative, what I expect the market to do. You're very quiet. Everyone all right? Okay. All right. So let's see how that goes. And that's what I wanted to do today, was kind of talk you through the logic behind the stuff, watch a bit of live price action, make those decisions. And again, I would really prefer stuff with a tighter spread. So Euro GBP doesn't seem that great to me. Again, could be some stalling here, so this is good. If this is going to fail, we're going to get a bit of a momentum candle there, which means it's likely to continue down. Okay. Euro Swissy. There we go. Okay. This one, we're still waiting for price to come up here. Euro CAD, nothing. Euro Aussie. Looks like that's trying to turn around. So you have a big move down, pull back, then a small move down, and it's trying to pull back. So it's trying to reverse itself. As in, it's trying to do a bit of a retracement. If we can get back past here, then it'll start going a little bit higher because it's overextended over here. Again, I realize sometimes I say stuff that for newer traders, you'd be like, what do you mean? Or that was too quick. So just let me know if that's the case. But I do try to break down the idea. Again, here you're a bit overextended. You've got a wick rejection there. You've had your break below this level. It's trying to do a bit of a swing low. And if it does, you'll get a higher low here. You'll move into an uptrend. So if that's the case, if price was going to move up to here, if it was going to retrace, we don't know how far it's going to go. It could just go up to this level, could go high. We don't know that. But if it's going into an uptrend, the logic, these are higher risk approaches, but the logic is sound. You could say, well, I'll tell you what, if it breaks here, if we break that high, so if I go like this, break that high, pull back, so in other words, it's a break and a retest and it continues up, I could do a 3-to-1 trade here to the upside. So what I'd be doing is a break and a retest, probably getting in somewhere like that, and that would be my 3-to-1, and price would just come back up to here. So the idea is that you could follow price action as it unfolds, or you can look for it unfolding within the context of a bigger move. And if you do that within the context of the bigger picture, your probabilities are higher. So in this case, the probabilities improve because we're overextended here. We can see that it's trying to move higher. We can also see that if it breaks this high and closes, we have shifted into an uptrend on the 15-minute. So the idea that there might be a push further up as part of this retracement is not stupid. It's a valid idea. The only risk in that trade is we don't really know how far it's going to go. Do I typically have to? It's weird. The conversation, the chat isn't showing me everything. I only get part of your question there, Osman. Okay. In the meantime. Okay, there we got our bearish candle. It's breaking a bit lower. It should continue down. Let's see if that's the case. What's this one? I want to just looking for that stuff. See, look how prices come here, is rejecting this area, trying to move lower. That's looking bearish. This is a mess, but it looks as though maybe with the US session we're going to see it push off. Do I think dollar yen will continue to rise and go up off the weekly chart? Yeah, but I'm a little bit more aware now that the Bank of Japan have hinted at possible intervention. So it just always makes me cautious when they do that. So here's your break below that. Oh no, that's just moving too fast. Too fast, too fast, too fast. Let's go back up. How's euro dollar doing? Potentially stalling in this area. Remember we were talking about that stalling where it is. Below the daily pivot as well. Not a big deal. I just have the pivot on the chart as well. Sterling has headed down, so that was its bearish candle. It's trying to break, go lower. It's broken that lower. So we're in the trade. Hypothetically here, we're in the trade. Aussie dollar has started to turn around. So I was saying, would that be a potential head and shoulders? It's starting to look like it might be a potential head and shoulders. But I'm not going to trade it at this time. Also stalling here a bit. Looks good. Dollar yen. So dollar yen's a tricky thing. Why are we getting the other majors, the euro, the GBP, Aussie, Kiwi, heading lower, and dollar yen also heading lower? It's a bit tricky. I don't really like that because it's too much. The correlation doesn't always add up. So this could be a consolidation and then break out to the upside if the dollar's going to weaken or strengthen or whatever. Dollar Swissy, again, is failing in this area right now. Look at that. So that was part of the reason I would like this to close up above here. Because then you've got a bullish engulfing 4-hour candle, which is very bullish. That means that the next candle is likely to come back to test this level and carry on up. So this, but it's failing instead. Changes the game. Dollar CAD. So dollar CAD, we were looking, there we go. So dollar CAD is still in play, guys. Tried to come up, failed, and is potentially heading lower. So we're still in play. That's okay. This is a great area for it to stall and go down. Euro Swissy. So remember, in this case, we're looking to see if this could break above and find support. That's what we're looking for. So in this case, we'd have that. I only really want to go for about 5 more minutes, guys. I want to see what's happening with these things here. So, and I think with these kinds of sessions, you need. I think with these kinds of sessions, you need multiples of them, because there's so much information that's being downloaded from me to you that you kind of need me to say some stuff over and over again. So we look at euro dollar, trying to see what happens here. We're looking for a bearish big red candle. Sterling has done it already, so sterling is moving lower. Aussie dollar is trying to move lower. Kiwi dollar is potentially moving lower. Dollar yen, see how it's potentially looking bullish. I don't trust this. It doesn't mean it can't go down. Could dollar yen also go down? It could. But there's one thing I regularly have learned about dollar yen and say is that it does its own thing, so it can do its own thing. Dollar Swissy, to me, if that's the case, if we're going to see those head down, then these could head up. So that could very well start to look bullish. So that was a failure, but the next one could be nice and bullish. And if you look at it here, look at this. You can see price came down, tested it, bullish candle, high, low. It's going to carry on up. So you'd be taking a risk because this candle hasn't closed. But you could say, you know what? This is about to potentially go into an uptrend. I could look for a break in there, stop loss here or here. So if it breaks through, triggers me in, I think it's going to carry on up. So again, you're trading the fact that the next 4 hour candle could be a bullish candle going up. That's what you're really kind of doing. The safer thing would be to wait for this candle to close, because here it's got to get past there. So my entry, I don't want to get triggered in until it actually breaks through and continues up. The idea is that if it can break here, then this is going to continue up as a bullish candle. Does all of that make sense? I didn't actually look at gold. Let's have a quick look at gold. I'm not going to save these lines because I've created so many lines on multiple time frames. It's just going to create a mess. So I'm not going to save these lines. So there you go. Okay, so gold, when you look at it now, that looks like a nice downtrend. That's a 1 minute. You can see the 4 hour battling in this area. So you could, and there's your consolidation and a break. So again, so this is interesting because again, now that implies that the possible. This could mean that if this closes as a bearish candle, we could see a move down, okay, as a rejection. So again, you're getting a multiple rejection on the 4 hour. You would then get your 1 hour, possibly creates a momentum candle down, and you would look for another move down. So you'd be, again, looking for a follow through on this to the downside. This has got 30 minutes before it closes, so you kind of want to figure that out. So that's the logic. But however, here's why I would be very cautious of that on gold. Look at what's happening here. Downtrend, turning around, heading up. This is a strong level of support, supported by bullish MACD. You've got a little bit of a bullish candle there, bullish engulfing candle there. Next candle's a wick, green, breaking higher. This is trying to turn around. So although it is failing at the moment, I think with the bullish MACD, I think it's going to carry on up. Might come down a bit and then carry on up, but I think it's trying to turn on. To me, the 4 hour on gold looks like it's turning around. So again, so let me explain how some of the logic works as well, because you've had your consolidation break here. You might get a second move down. So you manage to get, on the lower time frame, you manage to get a 3-to-1, and then it turns around and goes up. I think this is likely to carry on up. Based off all of the stuff that I've seen here, I think it's likely to carry on up. All right, let's go see the rest. Let's go see what else is happening here. Euro dollar is still not in play yet. Sterling has broken through, but now is testing support. So we'll see what happens with that. Okay, so we've got a bit of motion. Seems like we've got the dollar moving a bit here. Dollar Swissy failing to get through there. Never broke above that level. Dollar CAD, to me, still looks good. Excuse me, overall. It's still battling in this area. So interesting. I want to watch a little bit more of this. Maybe it's trying to reverse. I wonder if we're getting a bit of dollar stuff coming in. Euro yen is trying to turn around and head up. Overextended, trying to come back up to this level. So again, we never got that bearish red candle that broke out. We didn't get that. That signifies a commitment to direction. Here we look like we're continuing back up into this area. So we had some failure here. We never had a breakout candle. We broke up. So it's still failing, but Euro CAD. No. 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 Okay, this one we're still waiting for this to continue down. So I've got pound yen, I think it was dollar CAD, and then I think sterling as a setup so far. We're just going to have to see how that goes. Alright guys, can I wrap up here and then we'll see. I'll leave the lines on for now and then I'll maybe do, we'll see if they all hit target. I can do an update video later or something. But at this point, yeah, it's now just waiting for these to move on and either hit target. So it was sterling. So dollar CAD. Waiting to see what happens there. Dollar CAD, I want to see if it might come back up here to test this level. And I don't know what the other one was. Pound yen. So here you might be trading that 15 minutes, but watching the 1 minute to see it come down, because if it comes down and breaks and finds resistance, you've got those opportunities. And I would actually say that this stuff works incredibly well on TradingView and MT4. So you're not necessarily getting better data on Pro Real Time. You would get very good data, I think, on MT4, unless Pro Real Time is the native platform for someone like IG Index or whatever. So pound yen pushing back up a bit here on support. Dollar CAD just ping-ponging around here. And sterling ping-ponging around. Cool. Hey, Ruok. Hey, Ruok. Good to have you in. Fantastic. So, oh, it's such a good crowd today. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you so much. Cool. All right. That's it. I'll kind of wrap it up here. I just want to, for now, I think this is likely to continue. The one I'm not so sure of, pound yen, we'll see, because we've got some stuff going on. I think it's still got a good chance at going down. We'll see. It's got rejection here, so it might come up, stop here, and then go down. That can happen. And then dollar CAD, we're going to have to see. Wait and see what happens there. All right, guys, I'll let you go. Thank you very much. And listen, have, yeah, and then if you like this, then I'll schedule another one. Cool.